sales expected to break all records for online shopping today. Hi, everybody. I'm Darren Kramer.
And I'm Ann Craig. As popular as online shopping has become, so have those online reviews. But be warned about what you say about your experience, because when it comes to those reviews, it's not always a matter of free speech.
Our chief political correspondent Mark Davis has more on a hidden gag clause some companies have to keep you silent,
which in this case was rings of power, and information related to it. However, posts which violate our guidelines or conditions of use will be removed.
We live in an extremely polarized time. If you say the wrong thing or think a specific way, then half the country wants nothing to do with you. Worse, many want to destroy your entire life for simply holding the wrong position.
Shopping online for Cyber Monday sales on everything from toys and household goods to hotels and travel deals, and then writing positive and negative reviews about their experiences.
Some retailers are discouraging, in fact, they are threatening and bullying consumers to stop those online reviews.
Some online retailers are censoring and scrubbing online reviews, in some cases by threatening and successfully suing consumers.
Amazon Studios boss Jennifer Salke, as reported by Bonanza Comics, admits to censoring the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power reviews over points of view that we wouldn't support.
Sony has been on a downward spiral in regards to what content they allow on their platforms and what they now reject. They have drastically changed from allowing anything that was properly rated on their platform to forcing developers to censor and change their work if it did not fit into their guidelines. Guidelines that do not actually exist, and Sony has admitted this. There are no censorship guidelines that any of the employees follow, and every game is looked at on a case-by-case basis. And when there are no clear perimeters, that makes for very unfair situations for smaller developers.
They can do it because hidden in the fine print in many online sales contracts is what's called a non-disparagement clause, essentially a gag clause that prohibits criticism online.
These gag clauses must be stopped.
At Consumer Reports, we believe that you have the right as a consumer to express your opinion about the products that you buy, but these gag clauses are clearly designed to silence that voice.
The reality is that people are more likely to leave a review when they have an extremely positive or negative reaction. They feel much more motivated to leave a review if they feel they have enjoyed the show immensely or if they feel they've been misled.
I didn't want to give Amazon any single solitary excuse to have my review removed, or to not give them any excuse to not publish the review. Now, some people might put, this is fucking dog shit, this is, or stuff like that, and that's fine. I can see why Amazon would use their terms and conditions or terms of service to try and get those taken down. Well, they can obviously take it down, it's their platform. But again, I specifically made sure that mine didn't have any of that sort of language because I wanted it to be published.
The proposal is called the Consumer Review Protection Act and was prompted when members of Congress were swamped with complaints about this. In one case, a New York hotel threatened to penalize newlyweds $500 for every negative comment posted by their wedding guests. From the Hartford Newsroom, Mark Davis, News 8.
One of the most instrumental things of the modern age is the ability to screen content or products based on people's idea of them. It's how many people have saved so much money and heartache on shopping online for a product on Amazon by reading the reviews and understanding that the reason people rated it badly was because it was a knockoff product, cheaply made, or not even the correct item that was being sold. The same goes for films and shows. Platforms such as Amazon, Yelp, and Google Reviews rely heavily on online reviews to maintain their credibility and earn user trust. This has made online reviews an integral part of modern consumerism. Additionally, this presents a challenge to these platforms to consistently improve their quality. Positive reviews provide encouragement and motivation to continue doing well. But negative reviews also play a critical role in this ecosystem by identifying areas for improvement and informing potential customers about potential flaws. Throughout history, there have been instances where consumers unanimously agree that a product is either faulty or of poor quality. In such situations, companies have typically responded by either reducing the price of the product or improving its quality. Despite the usefulness it's always served, some platforms have taken to removing or censoring negative reviews, a move that has significant detrimental effects on both the platform and its users. One of the primary reasons why disabling negative reviews is detrimental to the platform's business is that it erodes trust. Consumers have come to rely on reviews to make informed decisions about their purchases, and the absence of negative reviews can create a perception that the platform is hiding something. This can make people lose faith in the platform's ability to provide quality stuff and end up actually hurting their sales. Moreover, taking down negative reviews can result in a decrease of the product quality. Negative reviews help businesses pinpoint where their products or services need improvement, which enables them to make changes and provide better quality. Without this feedback, businesses may be less motivated to make necessary improvements, and they might continue to offer those substandard products or services, and this can lead to a decrease in customer satisfaction and loyalty, which can ultimately harm the platform's reputation. In addition, removing negative reviews can be considered unethical and a violation of consumers' rights to express their opinions, which is a fundamental aspect of free speech. Consumers have the right to share their views, whether positive or negative, especially if they're spending their hard-earned money on these products. Platforms that silence these opinions can be seen as acting in bad faith. Really large corporations or studios like Disney can be seen as monopolistic and dictatorial, as by censoring people's opinion, it's basically letting everyone know that they're above rebuke and above the need to improve or care about the quality of the product that they want their consumers to spend their money on. Imagine that people would usually leave a review about cars or their parts and their functionality. While a lot of reviews can come down to user error, they're legitimate reviews and concerns that people have, such as engines overheating or faulty airbags. When enough people complain about things like this or enough accidents happen, the companies will usually issue a recall. Usually when it comes to automobile safety-related defects are identified through investigations or observations. However, with other products that have been recalled, it's often because people have complained about the issue. They may have called in, or the company might have gotten too many calls about phones overheating or exploding in people's bags or people's cars behaving in a way they shouldn't, and because these companies don't want to get sued when they do see the correlation and they do the investigation thoroughly as they should, they decide that the product is faulty and will do a recall, as they did with my Honda.
I got the butt.
Now, outside of them being terrified of being sued and their business going under, imagine if people complaining about such issues were nullified and strictly censored. Imagine if the company ignored people's complaints and chalked up to them being trolls or hating on the company. Imagine the devastation that would cause. I'm sure the companies like Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, Disney, YouTube, Amazon, Twitter, and more believe that in the moment, it is helpful to delete these negative reviews or skew the honest results by capping their rating system at a certain score so it can't go any lower. Them doing this and accusing their consumers of review bombing them is basically an attempt to try and protect their brand with a narcissistic view that there is nothing wrong whatsoever with their product, and anyone saying otherwise is just being mean to them. So they will go ahead thinking that their product is pristine and superior and just write off every negative review as a vitriolic attack. While there is a case that can be made for people trolling, we can argue also that they're not the majority simply because of how films perform on the opposite side of the spectrum. Believe it or not, there are some people who did not like the movie Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Posters like this can be seen as having a negative opinion of the film because they're not lauding it and because they point out its flaws, which every film and show does have. Imagine if most people felt this way and left their honest opinion about how awful or unsatisfactory the movie was. If it were any of the big narcissistic and overbearing studios, they would go to the news and claim that people who spent their money to watch this, mind you, are just being bullies to the poor innocent corporations. Notice no one questions the overwhelming positive reviews and hype of movies like Puss in Boots: Last Wish. Whenever a movie or show is lauded overwhelmingly, no one questions the validity of the positive reviews. Why would they? Studios and creators feel as though they've arrived and they've achieved to do what they set out to do. However, nowadays, whenever there's an overwhelming outpour of negative reviews, it's very strange for the studios to believe that the only reason this is due to the consumers lying, because it couldn't possibly be that there's something wrong with their product. No matter how loud someone is about how much they dislike something, if your product is doing something right, regardless of that, it's still going to do well successfully. This is the case with the Hogwarts Legacy game. The game is clearly a good game because outside the whole controversy, there being a lot of people boycotting the game and bullying and harassing others into doing the same to the point of epic proportions, the game is still rising in popularity simply because of its gameplay mechanics and world building, and possibly in part because of the loud boycotting people bringing more attention to it, and people being curious about it and then sticking around when they find that the game is actually very enjoyable. And thus, no matter how many hateful things are said about the outpour, the success of the game still stands, as As it sold at the time of this video, which is around March 2023, 12 million copies and raked in about 850 million in sales globally in its first 2 weeks. That being said, even if movies were getting negative reviews, if the movie is actually good or resonates well with audiences, regardless of people leaving their opinions about it, the movie is still going to make money. After all, isn't that what they're interested in, these businesses? People leaving negative reviews about the movie itself is not an attack on the character of the people who created it, so claiming that the consumers are bullies or trolls makes no sense. If those same creators were to come out later with a movie that was actually good and resonated well with the audience, that same audience would be praising it. For example, a lot of the titles that Disney has been putting out between 2020 and 2023 have been very lackluster and seemingly monotonously manufactured. However, when Free Guy came out, a product of Disney as well, people loved it. Even the people who dislike Disney as a company because of the obvious recent lack of quality compared to the years prior loved this product. And Free Guy was rated very well and reviewed in a very positive light. Not once did Disney ever come out and claim that the people praising it or giving it overwhelmingly positive reviews were trolling them. Although people may offer a particular reason why they disliked a movie, this doesn't necessarily invalidate the vast range of opinions from other audiences on how they viewed the movie as a whole. A few of the audience members may have hated the dialogue, while others might have hated the portrayal of certain characters. Lots of people will write long reviews breaking down every aspect of what they think made a movie or show low quality. Despite this, companies like Amazon and Disney will still remove reviews and favor those that don't challenge them at all, only praising their work as perfect and without any flaws. By doing this, these big studios have made it challenging for consumers who are required to pay for their products to express their concerns about what they're purchasing. They mistakenly believe that censoring and prohibiting negative reviews will lead to more success for their products. However, this approach is likely to frustrate people and compel them to resort to what they did before online reviews existed: sharing their opinions through word of mouth.
Fuck those guys!
In today's world, with everyone having access to the internet, it's easier to look up information for ourselves. However, our parents and grandparents come from a time where gossiping and talking about things was more common. Their inability to write down their thoughts and express their issues on a grand scale, at least for the average person, may make them more motivated to tell as many people as possible what they didn't like about a film or a product or someone. After all, they spent their hard-earned money on it, and the customer service is terrible because they can't even give their feedback in an honest manner. Where people would have been able to go and see the negative reviews and get an honest balance of what people are saying, now people are going to hear it from other human beings in person, which is much more believable. All the negative things about the movie, and more so about the company's unfavorable actions, so that when these people do see only positive reviews online or wherever they see them, it will force them to be mistrustful of even those positive reviews. I've come across numerous shows or movies with 2 stars or mixed or negative reviews, but their trailers caught my attention, making me curious to see why they were so disliked. There have been times when I watched movies that received terrible ratings, and out of sheer curiosity, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that I genuinely enjoyed them. It turns out that many people probably didn't like the ending, or didn't like the type of movie it was, and it didn't mean that it was a horrible movie, but just that it didn't resonate well with the general audience. B-movies are a classical example of this phenomenon. They're often cheesy, poorly made movies that receive low ratings, yet many people still enjoy and love them. Some individuals even seek out movies like this, whether for entertainment or just to poke fun at them. And there are the opposite situations, like in my case when I watched a trailer about the movie Monsters, a title on which I did a review. Everybody was praising this movie about how wonderful it was, and it got glowing reviews. I watched it because I wanted a new monster movie to watch, and honestly, when I did, I'm sorry I did. I was bored to tears. I came away feeling more angry and annoyed because the movie was rated so well, or at least decently, and lauded by everyone verbally, and it turned out to be so boring and awful, and the complete antithesis of what it marketed itself to be, than I ever did when I found out that a badly rated movie actually turned out to be pretty decent. Likewise, movies like Inception and Tenet were lauded by people, but for me, they were just okay and borderline annoying and convoluted. Now, I know a lot of the rating system comes down to people's subjectivity and opinion, but I think companies would find it very interesting when they start to read the negative reviews to understand what rubbed their audience the wrong way, and how they could possibly attract a wider audience by addressing those issues, or simply ignoring them. Surely you're not going to get everybody like the same thing all the time. People have different tastes. But what would have been great is for companies to actually welcome negative reviews, especially the ones that mention the storyline making no sense and feeling rushed, the lack of lighting and decent sound design because the people making these films or shows expect everyone to have high-end TVs and sound systems, the forced dialogue and chemistry between characters, and much more. It's illogical that movie making and cinema, one of the most significant art forms, are taking away the one thing that defines art: the ability to be interpreted by people. Art is a reflection of our society and culture. By people having an opinion on art, we can better understand the cultural and social context in which the art was created, and how it relates to our own lives and experiences. Art is a means of expression. By having an opinion in art, we can appreciate the creativity and the skill that goes into creating a work of art. We can also gain insight into the thoughts, emotions, and ideas that the artist was trying to convey. It's also subjective, which makes everyone's opinion on art valid, and by having an opinion we can contribute to a wider conversation about the meaning and value of different works of art. Art was always intended to have the power to influence and inspire. By having an opinion on art, we can engage with it more deeply and potentially be moved, inspired, or challenged by it in meaningful ways. When you strip away our ability to discuss and hold differing opinions on art, you dampen the very environment that art requires to flourish. If everyone is expected to conform and express only positive opinions, there's no room for challenge, growth, or diverse perspectives. Art needs space to converse, to hold different opinions, and to express different ideas. Without this, it just becomes stagnant, unable to evolve or inspire. No new art is brought about based on these altering perceptions because we're punished for standing out or going against the grain, which is the whole purpose for artistic expression: to stand out and to speak your truth and express your inner thoughts and conflictions. Not only is it bad business sense to invalidate your customers' feedback, something that will ultimately hurt businesses long term, but it no doubt will douse a spark of innovation, causing people to turn to other forms of art outside of this dying void of meaninglessness. It's why a lot of people are turning to foreign films and series, like that of Japanese cinema and Korean cinema, which can ultimately lead to a decrease in revenue and even failure of the studios in the US. There are many respected anime critics in Japan who are known for their honest and thoughtful reviews of anime, and their opinions are often widely respected and debated within the anime community. There are also numerous online forums and discussion boards where fans of anime can share their opinions and engage in critical discussions about the merits and flaws of different shows. Even though it's possible that some individual anime studios or production companies may attempt to suppress negative reviews or criticism of their shows, it's definitely not a widespread practice within the anime industry. The largest anime library platform, Crunchyroll, still allows fully transparent reviews of the anime titles, no matter how negative they are, while US platforms like Netflix and Disney, just to name a few, are suppressing negative reviews or getting rid of reviews altogether. Overall, at least from what I can see, the anime industry in Japan values artistic expression and critical discussion, and negative reviews are an accepted and important part of the discourse surrounding anime. All that censoring negative reviews does is make studios or creators appear insecure or unconfident in their product, which naturally causes people to doubt the quality of the product. It elicits the same reaction that you get whenever you go to a YouTube video of someone speaking on a topic, only to scroll down and see that their comments have been disabled. I don't know about you, but that causes me to instantly click off the video. It basically tells me that they did not like what people were saying and their responses to what they've declared, and instead of taking down the video altogether, they leave it up so only their word stands and no one is allowed to make a response or to challenge them. This behavior can erode trust in the studio's or creator's brand and cause audiences to turn away from its films and products over time. By ignoring or silencing criticism, studios may miss out on valuable insights and perspectives that could help them to better understand their audiences and make more successful films and products in general. What I find would work very well is if studios not only engaged with their consumers in feedback and discourse, but also if they encouraged it and made a platform specifically for that. Even if someone seems to be trolling by saying something the studio sees as problematic, instead of silencing them, which ironically in turn seems to give them a bigger voice and validation, challenge them on the spot publicly and allow other people to have constructive discussion. If studios or creators allowed for this, you would find a lot of the issues that audiences audiences have that are seen as problematic actually go deeper than just they're trolling. A lot of audiences may say things such as, well, what's with all the women superheroes? Or why do they keep changing the looks of iconic characters? And opening up discourse and discussion would actually reveal that it's not that people have a problem with women superheroes, it's that they have a problem with women superheroes being misrepresented as bullies and unlikable characters with no character growth or accountability, which in turn ends up being damaging to the overall perception of women and our achievements. You'd find that these audiences don't necessarily care about what a character looks like, only that the iconic character isn't just handed off to another demographic nonchalantly because the studios can't be bothered to make original characters for that demographic, or bring to life the endless other ethnicities of characters in their libraries that are gathering dust. The studios would stop just waving their hands and writing off what people are saying. They would find that it's not just one specific group finding valid issues with the qualities of their films and products, but also a heaping amount of marginalized groups who find the same issues but are being widely ignored as though their voices don't matter due to the studio's prejudice on the first specific group. Many can even term this as gaslighting. In the end, what used to matter when it came to sales and making products better is consumer and seller relationships. Why get rid of a model that has worked so long unless, of course, the studios have no intent on improving or building trust with their consumers? When companies have gotten so big and so prideful that they no longer require rebuke or any say from their actual consumers, they're usually only moments away from their collapse. They just don't know it yet. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.